I am Dr. Victoria Munoz, CEO and owner of Regenerative Sports Medicine and Anti-Aging. We're going to be doing a 14-week series on how to heal the body and reverse aging. Many of these points are going to be coming from a book that I wrote called The Pain Solution. This book is basically a comprehensive guide on how to heal the body and reverse aging. And if you use my recommendations from this book, I guarantee you, not only will you save thousands of dollars in healthcare expenses, but you will improve your health and quality of life. I will put a link in the description below so that you have the opportunity to purchase the book. You can purchase it on Amazon. The cost of the paperback is $34.97. If you're interested in an autographed version of the book, I will put information in the description below on how to contact us to receive that at no extra cost. Today we're going to talk about the aging process and anti-aging. And, everybody's on a quest to live longer, to look better, to age better, and to age more gracefully. However, the anti-aging industry profits billions of dollars annually. You've got everything from creams to supplements to potions that serve only to really drain your bank account. People are easily sold on gimmicks and quick fixes, none of which is scientifically proven to work. The FDA does not regulate this industry, so really you could be getting anything. Really, the only key to improving our longevity and our quality of life is more research on life extension and anti-aging. Regenerative medicine offers sound answers to these questions to help to heal and repair the body as we age. So I guess the next question is, why do we age? Aging is a natural process of life, but how we age is dependent on many factors. Number one, diet. Diet is huge. How many of you can say that you eat a clean diet 90% of the time? I'm not saying you can't cheat once in a while, have those M&Ms or whatever it is you like, but the majority of people are eating crap on a daily basis and filling their cells with toxins. People really don't give much thought into what they're consuming. Now think about it this way. You take a pharmaceutical, you expect it to improve your mood or reduce your anxiety, improve your blood pressure. Yet, every time you put food in your body, you are creating a biochemical process in the cells which are either contributing to health or pathology. And over time, if you continue to consume toxic foods, you're setting yourself up for chronic illness. Lifestyle habits, smoking, drinking, sedentary, not exercising. These things contribute strongly to how quickly we age and what kind of quality of life we have. People end up with cancer and emphysema, and they said, "Oh, well, we know there's a strong link between smoking and lung disease." It takes a drastic event in somebody's life to make them think, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have started smoking 30 years ago, or maybe I should have quit sooner." I never criticize somebody for being in that position, where they need to change their lifestyle. However, if you think about it, so many people are killing themselves every day with these non-therapies. Environmental exposures, that's another one. You could be consuming a very clean, healthy diet, exercising, taking all the right supplements, managing, your health through regular blood work, and you're bringing environmental toxins right into your house. Good place to go is the EWG EWG.org, Environmental Working Group. It's a website where you can go and you can check the products that you're consuming or putting on your body, or cleaning your household environment with, to see what the level of toxicity of those products are. Wearing shoes in the house is a top contributor to environmental toxins in your home. If you think about it, you're out walking around on ground through oil, through who knows what, all day long, and then you walk right into your house with those shoes on. It's getting on your floors, on your carpet. If you have small children, they're crawling around on those floors, pets, and you are living in that environment. Another thing is dryer sheets. Dryer sheets are one of the top contributors to household toxins. Before buying products to use in your home, EWG.org is going to be a really good place to go to learn about the toxicity level of those products that you're using, and making better choices. Now, your home doesn't need to be sterile. Your immune system needs to be exposed to your environment. If you sterilize your home environment and completely wipe out all bacteria, then your immune system really has nothing to go by. So then you go out into the world with a weakened immune system and you're susceptible to everything. In fact, sterilizing your house is a strong contributor to asthma in children and weakened immune system. All right, so let's say you're eating a clean diet, you're managing your exposure to environmental toxins, but your stress level is out the roof. Let me tell you, stress, chronic stress, is one of the number one things that contributes to not only how quickly we age, how soon we die, and what kind of chronic disease we're going to ensue over our lifetime. Stress will override every positive thing that you're doing for yourself. Let's talk about stress for a little bit. Our body was meant to endure short periods of stress. For example, if you're in danger and you need to get out of danger's way, the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, your adrenals release cortisol into the bloodstream to ensure that you have the energy and the stamina to get out of danger's way. And then once everything is cool, you're good. And then everything should go back to normal. Your cortisol levels should come down and your sympathetic nervous system will start to transition more into a parasympathetic state. However, humans are the only species that can create stress through their imagination. Let me explain. So let's say you're driving down the road, somebody cuts you off, you have to slam on your brakes, okay? So that's good, that's legitimate. You had to react in order to prevent an accident. Now, there's no accident, you're driving down the road, there's no more issue, except up here. If you are pissed off and you keep thinking about this guy that cut you off, and you're thinking about it into the next day, into the next week, into the next month, and then other things start to stress you out because you're just in this mode of being stressed out. Next thing you know, your coworkers are pissing you off and nobody can do anything right. Then you are in a state of chronic stress. What this does is it causes the adrenals to continually release cortisol into the system. Then you end up with an inflamed gut and eventually systemic inflammation throughout the body. Systemic inflammation setting you up for chronic illness and chronic disease. My patients that come into my office, let's say we had patient A and patient B, let's say they were exactly the same, exact same diagnosis, exact same treatment plan. Patient B is managing their stress, patient A is not. I guarantee you patient A is not going to get better, patient B will. Stress overrides anything and everything that a doctor or that you can do to improve your health and to manage a healthy lifestyle. So that being said, aging is a collection of biological processes that contribute to the breakdown of human cells. But the rate at which we age is highly dependent on several factors. Number one, oxidative stress, which is basically something that is induced with all these things that we talked about: poor diet, poor lifestyle habits, environmental toxins, and stress. Basically, oxidative stress is the imbalance of the reduction oxidative system. So the redox reaction is basically a balance between oxidation and reduction. We're not going to go into that right now. If you want more information about that, you can read the pain solution. I talk about it in more detail. But the important thing to understand is that oxidative stress contributes to the breakdown and death of the cells of the body. DNA repair. We all have the ability to repair our DNA. However, if there's an ongoing insult to the DNA related to any of these things that we've talked about, the DNA will eventually experience mutation, leading to disease. So the ability for our DNA to repair is important. There comes a point where it's not going to be repaired anymore, and you're going to be more prone to chronic disease. Nutrient exchange. Nutrient exchange is very important. Like we talked about regarding the diet, every time you consume food, there's thousands, if not millions, of biochemical processes that take place in the body. Now, if we're chronically stressed out over time, we've got inflammation in our gut, inflammation in our body, then what we're going to end up with is leaky gut. And what leaky gut does is creates gaps in the gap junctions in our gut lining. So what happens is whole particles of nutrients are able to pass through into the bloodstream, and our immune system identifies it as an allergen or an invader. And then we have an allergic reaction to those particles. By having a healthy gut, we have a healthy nutrient exchange between the gut lining and the blood. Because what we want is we only want nutrients to enter the bloodstream that are going to benefit our health and the millions, if not billions, of biochemical processes that take place in the body on a regular basis. Our ability to recycle junk proteins. Now, let me explain. There's healthy proteins in the body, obviously, that create the structures and the cells of our body that are important for life. There's also junk proteins, and some people recycle their junk proteins better than others. It has a lot to do with your toxic load, and one way to help eliminate junk proteins is through intermittent fasting. Now, what intermittent fasting does is it breaks down proteins. No, it doesn't start with the healthy proteins, it starts with the junk proteins. So when you fast, your body starts breaking down the junk proteins in the body, including in the brain, one of those being amyloid plaques that cause dementia and Alzheimer's. So intermittent fasting is a really good thing to implement into your regular routine. Doesn't mean you have to do it daily, but I would recommend doing it on a regular basis. Now, metabolic efficiency is huge for longevity. One thing that causes a diminish in metabolic efficiency is the decline of hormones over time. Now, keeping our hormones at optimal levels as we age is going to benefit us metabolically, it's going to reduce inflammation, it's going to help with brain health and mental clarity, it's going to help our metabolism significantly. So, hormone modulation is one key factor in maintaining metabolic efficiency over our lifetime. Now let's talk about genetics. Genetics and environmental factors must be considered in combination. Science used to believe that there was some kind of biological time clock that at some point a gene would turn on to cause disease. We now know that this is not the case. Genes are upregulating and downregulating on a daily basis depending on what kind of environmental triggers they are exposed to. For example, poor diet, unhealthy lifestyle choices, environmental toxins, and stress all contribute to the downregulation of genes. So if you're downregulating a gene for disease, over time, if it continues to be downregulated, you're more susceptible to chronic illness. If you're constantly upregulating your genes for health, then that gene is not likely to cause disease. Let me explain. People go in for genetic testing all the time. Often couples will go in for genetic testing before they conceive, just to see what kind of genetic profile their child might end up with. However, the thing about genes is we have 99.9% control over whether those genes are downregulated for disease or upregulated for health. Let's say you test positive for the BRCA1 gene for breast cancer, for example. Just because you have that gene doesn't mean that that gene is going to turn on. An environmental insult over time is required to downregulate that gene for disease. And over time, if it remains downregulated, it will continue to produce bad proteins which cause disease, in this case cancer. If you are doing everything to manage a healthy lifestyle, of according to the things that we've talked about, that gene is unlikely to cause disease. So the reality is 99.9% of disease we have control over. And again, gene expression is not time sensitive like we once thought. Genes will upregulate and downregulate depending on your health status. Now let's look at genes in a little bit more detail, and I want to start with the mitochondria. The mitochondria is actually an organelle that once was a bacteria that over time, through the process of mutation, became a part of the human cell. It has its own set of DNA that is inherited by the mother, and the mitochondrial DNA profile is separate from the DNA that we see in the nucleus of the cell. Let me explain. So, the mitochondria, like I said, it's an organelle, and it exists in every cell. Depending on the cell type, it could be 10, it could be 100, okay? The mitochondria serves as an energy production organelle of the body. We see metabolic processes take place through the electron transport chain and the Krebs cycle, things that we're not going to be discussing in this video. If you want more information about that, you can read my book, because I do go into that in detail. However, the mitochondria, like I said, is an energy system and is highly responsible for all metabolic processes in our body. It is responsible for energy production, cell signaling, and also cell death. It is very sensitive to toxins, it is very sensitive to stress, and so on. The thing about the DNA in the mitochondria is that it lacks an air checking system. What that means is that our DNA in the nucleus of the cell has an air checking system to ensure that toxins are thwarted before they have a chance to do damage to the DNA. However, the mitochondria does not have this air checking system, so it is very vulnerable to disease. Once the mitochondria has experienced insults over time, you are more prone to chronic disease, such as mental illness, heart disease, and so on. Another thing that we need to consider when we look at genes is the telomeres. Telomeres basically protect our DNA. They play a role in cell division, aging, and cancer. So let me explain. What we have is chromosomes. Chromosomes are basically our genetic material, and we have chromosomes in every cell of the body. Our chromosomes are essentially a double helix of our DNA material. The chromosomes look like a little X, and the telomeres are essentially the caps on the end of these chromosomes to protect our genetic material. Now, with each cell division, what we're going to experience is we're going to experience a degradation in the telomere. It will degrade with each cell division. However, once the telomere has gotten to a certain point of degradation, that chromosome dies and that cell dies. The genetic material in the chromosome essentially comes from both the mother and the father. So unlike the genetic material in the mitochondria, which is only inherited from the mother, with our chromosomes, we're getting genetic material from both our mom and our dad. There's a chemical that our body produces called telomerase, and telomerase essentially restores telomere length. However, in the adult body, in the adult cell, telomerase is almost undetectable, except in certain cells which have high metabolic activity like skin, bone marrow, immune cells, and the GI tract. There have been multiple studies on telomerase to determine its effect on longevity, and there are no real answers except the rate of telomere shortening is directly proportionate to how quickly we age. Now, that being said, stress is a key player, as well as oxidative stress, in shortening those telomeres at an exponential rate. Like I said, stress increases inflammation in the body due to cortisol release, and oxidative stress is an imbalance in the reduction oxidative reaction, which creates free radicals, which basically serve to do damage to cells of the body. Now, like I said, our body does have the ability to produce antioxidant, but sometimes not in high enough levels to mitigate oxidative stress and free radicals in the body. So that being said, oxidative stress is largely responsible for age-related disease, cancers, and other genetic mutations. I know this is a lot of information, and you're probably wondering, what can we do to mitigate the aging process, the onset of chronic disease, and so forth? Well, Let me put it to you this way. It took you 20 years of living an unhealthy lifestyle to ensue illness and poor health. It's going to take some time to improve your health if you're looking for true healing. Now, just because it took you 20 years to get to this point doesn't mean it's going to take you 20 years to get better, but it is a process. And by starting to implement these things that I've discussed, now I know we've only touched the surface in this video on diet, lifestyle habits, environmental exposures, and stress. But as we continue through the series, we're going to go into more detail. If you want to get a head start, go ahead and purchase the pain solution now. It's only $34.97. Like I said, I will put a link in the description below where you can purchase it on Amazon, or you can buy it directly from me. I will autograph it and ship it to you personally for no extra cost. Hey, I am Dr. Victoria Munoz, CEO of Regenerative Sports Medicine and Anti-Aging. This is my series on improving health and reversing aging. See you next time.